Hundreds of employees have been fired from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration in the last few weeks as the Department of Government Efficiency works on President Trump's plan to downsize the federal government. Those firings could have an impact on Siouxland this severe weather season. NOAA is a government agency that monitors the oceans and atmosphere where weather develops. They also oversee the National Weather Service, an agency that provides weather forecasts and climate data from 122 offices nationwide. These offices, staffed with meteorologists and other weather experts, provide life-saving weather data and storm warnings across the U.S. With cuts at NOAA and the National Weather Service in the last few weeks, the NWS cut or reduced weather balloon launches nationwide because of staffing. All of this comes as severe weather season begins. But how do these cuts and the loss of those weather balloon launches impact you and the way you get your forecast from the meteorologists you know and trust? KTIV's Katie Koppel spoke to several Iowa weather experts to find out what you need to know before severe weather strikes.
So anytime you're losing data, that's going to have a negative impact. The big question is how much?
Twice a day, every day, meteorologists at the National Weather Service offices nationwide launch weather balloons into the atmosphere to gather real-time data about what is happening.
The computer models are only as good as the data that you start them with. If you want really accurate forecasts, you better hope you have an accurate depiction of what's happening in the atmosphere at the start.
A 1 or 2 degree difference in the air temperature, miles above the surface, could mean the difference between rain showers and a history-making storm.
When you look at, for example, the derecho that happened in 2020 across the state of Iowa, the difference of about 1 or 2 degrees in the middle parts of the atmosphere, probably around 3 to 5 miles above our heads, that made all the difference between thunderstorms in South Dakota weakening into nothing and becoming the costliest thunderstorm disaster in U.S. history.
Meteorologist Nick Stewart spent several years forecasting weather in Iowa. He says the weather balloon data lost without daily launches in cities like Omaha, Nebraska and Rapid City, South Dakota means a loss of critical information when storms develop.
I mean, they're going way above where airplanes fly. They usually pop around 100,000 to 120,000 feet. So we're collecting a huge amount of data in the lower parts of the atmosphere. And they can give us clues, very small clues that maybe the weather models don't show us.
One can pretty confidently saying that the region that will be impacted the most would be, unfortunately, around, Sioux City area, our part of the world here, because the data just to our west is probably the most crucial for making our forecast.
As Siouxlanders get into severe weather season, the true impact of the loss of this data is still uncharted territory.
When it comes to severe weather, a few degrees of difference being the difference between supercells capable of tornadoes and very large hail, or a line of thunderstorms with some gusty winds. And so if you can't really get the finer details in a forecast, we're not going to really be able to give you the best forecast possible. And we can't really tell you exactly what to prepare for with the highest, form of confidence that we can give.
In Sioux City, Katie Koppel, KTIV News 4.
On days when severe storms are predicted, weather balloon launches can be authorized in Omaha and other cities where they've now been suspended. Here at KTIV, our team of First Alert meteorologists are dedicated to bringing you the most accurate forecast every day. KTIV's Katie Koppel sat down with Chief Meteorologist Ron DeMars to discuss these changes to the forecast.
Could the loss of the weather balloon data from National Weather Service offices in Omaha and some in South Dakota impact the data that you guys are receiving and the way you do your forecasting?
The way I kind of try to think of it is when I'm making a decision, I want as many factors put into it as possible. I want good data coming in so I can make a good decision. Forecast models are much the same way. Basically, they're trying to get as much data from the atmosphere to try to figure out what that atmosphere is going to do 1, 2, 3 days down the road. Well, all of a sudden, you're taking data away, so that's not a good thing. The more data you have, the better, the less, the harder of a time these forecast models are going to do to generate a good forecast. And that's probably the biggest concern is the forecast going to be affected by this? And there's a possibility of that, yeah.
So even with this loss of data, why should Siouxlanders continue to trust the First Alert weather team throughout the severe weather season and beyond?
Right. Here's the deal. Whether there's more data coming in, less data coming in, we're going to keep doing the job that we best can. We're going to continue to look at the forecast models. I've talked to National Weather Service officials down in Omaha, as a matter of fact, and they said we are going to be all hands on during severe weather situations, and we're the same way. We're going to continue to do everything we can to keep Siouxlanders safe, put the best forecast out there, and we'll do the best that we can to keep everyone safe.
For more on these changes and how they could impact the way you get your weather forecast, just check out KTIV.com. While you're there, you can find out how to download the KTIV First Alert weather app for the most up-to-date forecast and, of course, severe weather alerts.